I spent a lot of time here. I love Indianapolis. I'm a Midwest girl. I enjoy spending time here. A lot of people like to get away from the cold. I don't really mind it as much.
What if a ticking time bomb rather than a fairy tale was the biggest story in basketball? Everyone can see the smiles, the sold-out stadiums, and Caitlin Clark's record-breaking viewership. However, a soundbite that recently leaked from the Indiana Fever's private training camp indicates that a storm is approaching and that the team's own players may be the ones making the noise. The media does not want you to see this story. This is the tale of what occurs when a movement spearheaded by one individual threatens to displace everyone else. Furthermore, the murmurs of bitterness are beginning to overpower the applause. There is more than just a lot of excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark's debut in the WNBA. The whole landscape of women's sports has been completely transformed by this seismic event. We are not discussing a rookie joining a team. We are seeing the emergence of a cultural phenomenon, a living, breathing media conglomerate whose every action brings in millions of dollars and attracts viewers who never would have thought to watch a WNBA game. Her last college games attracted an astounding 18.7 million viewers, surpassing both the World Series and the NBA Finals. It's more than simply talent. It's a cultural phenomenon and a lightning-in-a-bottle moment that franchises hope for. A typical athlete could be crushed by the weight of expectations that accompany that phenomenon. A tremendous amount of pressure that can distort a team's very foundation. She reportedly signed a $28 million contract with Nike before she ever set foot on a professional court. Take a moment to consider that. This rookie's contract is worth more than the total salaries of other WNBA clubs. A signature sneaker, which is only given to the world's most exceptional and transcendent athletes, was part of the agreement. And it didn't end there. Giants like Gatorade, State Farm, and Panini poured in endorsements, building a financial behemoth the league has never seen before. The Fever got a golden ticket in addition to the first pick when they won the draft lottery. A one-way ticket to unparalleled financial security and importance. Previously difficult ticket sales surged to the point where other teams had to relocate their home games against the Fever to larger NBA stadiums in order to meet the demand. Their games were instantly transferred from obscure streaming providers to national ESPN and ABC televised schedules. The team, which had previously been an afterthought in the league, became the center of attention for all of basketball. However, there was a catch to this golden ticket, a hidden expense that the business is just now starting to comprehend. For the players already donning the Fever jersey, this drastic shift felt more like a hostile takeover than a godsend, because the arrival of a messiah necessitates the overthrow of the current system. And that's where the foundation's first hazardous fissures started to show. The Fever had a heart and a soul before the tidal wave of Clark mania swept into Indianapolis. In a league that frequently fights for widespread attention, they had a team, a core of incredibly skilled and committed professionals who had been working tirelessly for years, striving for every bit of exposure. Aaliyah Boston, the top overall pick the year before and the unanimous, unquestioned Rookie of the Year, was at the exact center of that core. Boston was supposed to be the team's future, a strong, dominant force in the paint that would serve as the foundation for the team's 10-year dynasty. After a series of agonizing losing seasons, she was the pillar, the player who offered fans real hope. She was accompanied by seasoned veterans like Nalissa Smith, another previous high draft pick with all-star potential, and Kelsey Mitchell, a lightning-fast scorer who had led the team's offense for years. These were the team's cornerstones, elite athletes, not benchwarmers. They were the ones that battled for every point and performed in front of partially empty arenas. And who thought they could turn the turnaround and contend for a championship with only a few pieces. They had a defined structure, a culture, and a goal. Then it was all gone in an instant. All of a sudden, they were no longer the Indiana Fever. They were the team of Caitlin Clark. The rookie was the subject of every interview, news article, and SportsCenter feature. In someone else's narrative, the players who had invested their blood, sweat, and tears in the team were relegated to footnotes. Just picture the intense, searing emotion of such disdain. You're an all-star, A Rookie of the Year, a professional athlete at the pinnacle of your sport, and all of a sudden you're a supporting part in a story you never tried out for. Under the surface of the team's official media, a hazardous current of silent discontent started to simmer in the locker room. Appearances. It had nothing to do with personal animosity for Caitlin Clark. It was about their own hard-won identities being completely erased. On the practice court, however, that seething hatred in the locker room was about to find a very visceral and, some would say, sinister outlet. Making the move from college to the professional ranks is never simple. The players are stronger and more athletic, the game is faster, and the competition is fierce. A physical reminder that they are no longer the big fish in a tiny pond is given to each and every rookie at their welcome to the league moment. However, the reports coming from the Fever's training camp felt very different. It was more than a fleeting moment. It was an ongoing campaign. Observers and team insiders started to report that the practices were remarkably violent and rigorous. And Caitlin Clark appeared to be the only focus of this passion. Whether she possessed the ball or not, she was being physically challenged, bumped, and harassed on every play. Veterans were conveying a hard and unambiguous message in addition to protecting her. A screen felt more like a tackle than a basketball play. A box-out required an additional shove, a bit more force than was required. These were deliberate displays of power rather than merely single basketball plays. It was a concerted attempt to demonstrate to the phenomenon that her record-breaking numbers, her college highlight reel, and her multi-million-dollar endorsements had no bearing at all. She would have to endure suffering and tenacity in order to get every bit of respect in their home and league. The team's official response was that they were merely preparing her for the brutality of the WNBA, preparing her for the upcoming conflicts. However, a lot of spectators recognized it for what it really was, a concerted effort to scare the rookie, bring her down, and crush her spirit before the season even started. Driven by a rage that appeared to transcend mere rivalry, the same players who were meant to be her new comrades were acting like her harshest adversaries. Grimaces and a degree of hostility that felt personal took the place of the grins for the cameras. And everyone's worst concerns would be confirmed by what transpired next, which was disclosed in the coach's own damning words. A coach who can successfully negotiate the perilous seas of professional sports egos and create a cohesive winning team is the leader of any great team. Christy Sides is that individual for the Indiana Fever. And she currently holds the most challenging and hardest role of any WNBA coach. Her work now involves more than just planning plays and overseeing rotations. It's about controlling a possible explosion in the locker room, a civil war that might engulf the team from inside. On the one hand, she has a generational talent in Caitlin Clark, a player who can win games, sell out arenas, and dominate headlines on her own. Giving her the keys to the team and centering the whole offense around her amazing long-range shooting and playmaking prowess is the sensible course of action, as dictated by the league, the front office, and the millions of new fans. However, her roster is filled with seasoned, proud veterans. Included Aaliyah Boston, a former Rookie of the Year, who believes they are being ignored and treated disrespectfully. Sides runs the danger of alienating the rest of the squad and fostering a poisonous atmosphere of hatred and jealousy that might ruin the entire season if she fully accommodates Clark. She runs the risk of stifling the very talent that may make them winners and infuriating the enormous new fan following that is now the franchise's lifeblood if she tries to treat Clark like a rookie and make her earn her stripes. It's a risky game with no safety net, a high-wire act. Every choice she takes, every substitute, and every word she makes in public is examined and analyzed. Every play she calls is seen as a veiled criticism or an indication of partiality. While dealing with the serious divisions that are threatening to split her team apart in secret, she must present an image of immaculate harmony to the public. She has carefully planned her public remarks, which are replete with dull coach jargon about fostering team cohesion and good competitiveness. However, it was a single, careless remark that revealed the tremendous pressure she was under and blew the lid off the whole tense situation. The whispers became a deafening cacophony at this very time. The audio that was leaked did not come from a secret recording made by a disgruntled employee or from a hidden hot mic. Because it was shouted aloud and recorded for everyone to hear, it was in some respects considerably more devastating. Coach Christy Sides was questioned about Clark's transition to the professional level during a standard press conference. Rather than providing a conventional, pre-packaged response, she made a statement that immediately shocked the league and validated many people's worst concerns. She openly acknowledged that Clark had suffered some injuries during practice. The admission was breathtaking and quite unbelievable. The fact that their best player, the new face of the league, and their franchise's golden goose is being physically abused by her own teammates is not something a head coach would casually mention. The term beat up is not a coincidence. You don't use it casually. It suggests something far different from typical competitive physicality. It implies persistent, intentional, and focused hostility. This was more than just a challenging exercise. This was a physical trial by fire, a gauntlet. In essence, Sides was verifying the rumors that the veterans were pursuing Clark mercilessly. However, things worsened after that. When decoded and contextualized, the comments spoken by other players revealed an even more sinister picture of the internal conflict. One veteran responded to a question about Clark by saying that respect is earned, not given, and that this is no longer college. Although it sounds like a typical sports cliché on the surface, it was a direct shot given the rigorous sessions and the coach's admission. It was a public admission that, despite her wealth and notoriety, Clark was at the bottom of the hierarchy and would have to battle for her position. When combined, these sound bites revealed the unvarnished reality. The anger was real. It wasn't just a fan theory created online. The team did not welcome its new star with joy. The battle lines were being formed on the practice court every day, and the unit was in disarray. The symptoms of this ingrained stress can be seen anywhere if you know what to look for. The real story concealed beneath the PR-managed facade is revealed in the little details and the little intervals between the action. During a game, keep an eye on the benching team. There will be a discernible gap and a lack of the effortless, organic friendship that characterizes championship-caliber teams. Some teammates' celebrations of Clark's amazing play can seem forced, a beat too late, and obligatory rather than a sincere shared joy. The smiles are stiff, and the high fives seem forced. Body language is much more revealing during post-game interviews. When asked about team camaraderie, players respond with brief, clipped responses while sitting with their arms crossed in a defensive stance. The term "I" is used significantly more frequently than "we." When another player is asked about Clark, you can see a little moment of irritation and a tightness of the jaw before they give the polished, media-trained response about how wonderful it is to have her on the team. The official narrative is one of excitement and solidarity. The reality seems to be a collection of separate contractors that share a court but have no shared goal. Fearing professional repercussions, insiders have begun to divulge more information while remaining anonymous. They describe a tense, quiet locker room and the emergence of cliques between the newbies and the veterans. They speak of a tangible tension, an implicit knowledge that the team is divided into two groups, Team Clark and everyone else. This goes beyond a team acclimating to a new member. This is a basic conflict between cultures, a real-time fight for dominance. The group is making a valiant effort to provide a picture of harmony, but the foundation's fissures are getting too wide and deep to conceal. And money, which is considerably more potent and polarizing than basketball, is the root of this seismic upheaval. For a moment, let's be brutally honest. One thing is at the core of this dispute, the true unsaid cause of the anger brewing within the Indiana Fever: cold, hard cash. And it's nearly impossible to understand the enormity and obscenity of the difference. According to reports, Caitlin Clark's 8-year contract with Nike is worth $28 million. That amounts to $3 on average. $5 million annually from just one endorsement. Now think about her seasoned teammate's salary. The WNBA's Supermax pay is the highest amount that one of the league's most prestigious and well-established stars may make, is approximately $240,000 annually. Many seasoned veterans, including players who have been all-stars and have played in the league for many years, earn significantly less, some of them less than 6 figures. With only one endorsement agreement, Caitlin Clark is earning more than 10 times the pay of her highest-paid teammate. Her total earnings from all endorsements exceed her team's entire pay cap. Assume the role of Aaliyah Boston. You were the first choice. The Rookie of the Year award went to you. You gave the city optimism and had the team on your side. You make less than $80,000 in the WNBA. Then a new player enters, and she becomes a multi-millionaire thousands of times over before she has even demonstrated that she can consistently compete at this level. She is not the only topic of discussion in the media. They pay no attention to you at all. Every ticket was sold out. Each and every